Joining me live is Graham Morris, Chief of Staff for former Prime Minister John Howard, and Bruce Hawker, former advisor to Kevin Rudd and Bob Carr. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Morning.
Graham, let's start with you. We just saw that package. Over the last 3 years, we've seen floods, droughts, fires, mice plagues, a once-in-a-100-year pandemic. How do you think the Morrison government dealt with the last 3 years?
Well, I think they actually dealt with them all right. It's just that they got blamed for them all. You know, if there's a bushfire, it's Scott's fault. If there's a flood, it's Scott's fault. If a girl is involved in alleged rape in Parliament House, it's Scott's fault. There was a lot of that. But did he manage it okay? Well, of course he did. You know, I think we did well with COVID. We did well with the economy. The government has actually governed well, but there were some things out of left field that they got tagged with and they hurt them badly.
Bruce, for Labor to reach the magic number of 76, they need to maintain their current seats and gain 7. How confident are you?
I think they can do it. On the numbers I've seen today in News Poll and other polls in recent times, and just getting a feel for how the Australian public is responding to this campaign, I think Labor is in a strong position to get to those 76 seats. I think we'll be looking at a very different and interesting parliament, though, after tonight. I think the independents, particularly the Teal independents, are going to do well, particularly in New South Wales. There's a screed of seats that they can win between Palm Beach and Bondi, and I think we should all be looking for that tonight as well.
There's certainly some other seats as well, very close in the 2016 election. Macquarie, for example, in New South Wales, they had a margin of just, below 1% and 371 votes, the difference between the Labor, Susan Templeman, getting in. So we're seeing some really tight races here. And as you mentioned, Bruce, the independents as well, with even places like North Sydney with a margin of around 9%. Trent Zimmerman certainly in the spotlight there against the Teal independent. Graham, what are your thoughts on the Teal independents and other independents around the country?
Well, look, overall, it's going to be a little like the T20 cricket or the basketball or the netball. Every state is in play tonight, plus the Northern Territory. There's Bass and Braddon in Tasmania, Boothby in South Australia, Pearce and
Swan.
And Swan in Western Australia, Longman in Queensland, Reid in New South Wales, and you've got Chisholm and probably
Higgins.
Tim Wilson's seat.
Oh, yeah.
Goldstein. Now, they're the ones tonight the government will be looking to try to hang on to. But there are also 3 or 4 that if the government can win off the opposition, it'll make things a bit harder for Mr Albanese, and that's Lingiari in the Northern Territory, Corangamite down below Geelong on the Ocean Road there. Maybe something weird is happening in Western Sydney. Things, Parramatta and Werriwa, there's a couple there in play. So it is tonight, every single state plus the Northern Territory is going to be involved. And if it's close enough, we won't know until the Perth results come in, and that's quite unusual.
Yeah, we certainly might not know for a number of days. Gilmore's certainly one to watch as well, isn't it? That was taken away from the Liberals, but now in there is Andrew Constance up against Fiona Phillips. So they really need that one as well. The big announcement, gentlemen, on Sunday, the big announcement of the super homebuyer scheme by Scott Morrison at the Liberal lunch. It has been the talk of the week, the sweetener, so to speak, up against Labor's scheme of only about 10,000 homes, but government funded. How successful do you think the super fund will be, and also the one with Labor? Let's start with you, Bruce.
Look, I don't think it's really impacted particularly on the public. I think a lot of people would be cynical about the superannuation announcement by the government. Even though it sounds good, it does mean that money's coming out of their pensions at the end of their working lives. So they've got to factor all that in. And we haven't really seen any sign in the polling that this has resonated particularly with the electorate. If it was a good policy and they were very confident about it, I think they should have put it out much earlier in the campaign and really worked hard on that, and they didn't. They put it out on a week out from the election. Labor's housing policy allows the government to support new home buyers with a 40% injection of government money into their coffers. I think that'll be welcomed by a lot of people. But at the end of the day, I think everyone knows in their heart of hearts that the housing problem is going to be solved, if it is going to be solved, by improving supply. And I think that's where government's going to have to go, whether it's Liberal or Labor, in the coming years, to make sure that young people do have access to homes and housing in the way in which they did 20 and 30 years ago.
And Graham, what are your thoughts on the super home buy scheme for the first home buyers? Around 100,000 people are eligible, I believe, and compare that to the one with Labor.
Look, the policy announcements are very important, but what are they strategically designed to do? And that is to control at least a day of the campaign. And I think the housing policy at the launch on Sunday controlled 2 or 3 days. And that's sort of important. Can I just say, Janie, that we forget about these people, but there's an enormous number of candidates there who can't win. And they need a pat on the back, particularly those in the major parties, because they can't win, but they're adding to the public funding purse that helps pay for a lot of the expenses. And also they're helping in the Senate. But these people who, well, I suppose all candidates sort of need a pat on the back because they put themselves up. They go through a bit of a rough time, many of them. And, you know, it's one of those sort of things that you do for 12 months or 6 weeks, and you need a bloody good sense of humour.
Yeah, you certainly do, and it's going to be a hard one to pick. Even John Howard and other political professionals are saying that this is very much the hardest one to pick, but we'll certainly know very soon. Graham Morrison, Bruce Hawker, thank you so much.
Thanks, Jenny.